Hey everyone, Steve Grogan here, founder of Geek Wing Chun. Today's video is a book review of Beginning Boxing by Jason Van Veldhuysen. Usually we have training drills and ideas, other videos like that give you tips on how to train at home, even if you can't make it to class much. So if you'd like to see that, hit subscribe and the bell icon. But every now and then I like to review books and instructional videos because I think the more ideas you have, the more creative you can get with your home training routine. So why am I reviewing a boxing book on a Wing Chun channel? Well, it's because people often compare, like, how would Wing Chun do against boxing, or another one is against grappling. But they always talk about how, oh yeah, Wing Chun people, they can't hit as hard as boxers, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of compare and contrast with those two styles. So, and plus, obviously, one of the names most tied to Wing Chun, even though he didn't even train that long in it, is Bruce Lee. And of course, he blended it with boxing. Wang Shun Lung also studied boxing before Wing Chun, though not a lot of people know that as much. But anyway, so that's why. And plus, being that, obviously boxing's all punching, it is all upper body techniques. Well, I should say upper body attacks. Obviously, you have to have a good stance. If your legs are garbage, if your stance is garbage, you're not going to be able to hit well in boxing either. But anyway, well, we're about almost 2 minutes in now, so I better get to the book. Chapter 1 I thought was an interesting topic, which was called, Why Do You Want to Fight? He says, boxing's 90% training, 10% fighting, which is true. Think of how much buildup there is to fights. And up until that, they're training. He says he gives you advice on coaching attributes to look for: encouragement, support, counseling, drilling, challenging, and management. Then he goes into talking about stances and guards. He has something there called an oblique guard, which is slightly more open and squared off than this. There's something called the open guard, which is intended for crowding and cutting off the opponent. And next we go into footwork and creating angles. 55 to 60% of the weight should be on the back leg. Your essential offense lays out 8 punches. He says when you're looking at someone, you should focus on the upper chest and or the base of the neck. And I wondered, would this still be a good place to look if you're in MMA and they can also kick or grapple? I imagine it would be, because when you go to kick, you still got to move here. He talked about, what we got here? 6 different kinds of jabs. He talked about a technique called the blind, which compromises their vision, and it's a setup. It looked almost kind of like Mansao to me, the asking hand. He says the straight rear hand punch will sometimes be called the cross. It's not a different punch. It just means an application of the straight rear, which is your punch crosses over the opponent's lead. And he talks about tactical concepts: rhythm, pressure, distance, pace, cutoff punches, or stop hits. Stop hit, which Bruce Lee was a big fan of. Feints and clinching. Essential defense. And he talks about things like position, focus, activity, and reactivity. For reactivity, he gives 3 guidelines. He says small motions have a better probability of success than larger ones, which, hey, that made me think of how, Lang Shung's, the Wing Chun lineage I'm studying now, is called the small circle. Well, that's what my Sifu calls it. He says it's all small circle, and it's the same principle. As a beginner, high probability defenses are preferable to low probability or high control defenses. And the opposing hand concept is an excellent guide to learning reactive defense. This means your right hand defends against the opponent's left, and vice versa. It talks about catching, blocking, and covering, how to block body shots, so on and so forth. Shelling up, shielding. He even gives a shout out to Wing Chun in this chapter, which is pretty cool. Combination punching concepts, heavy bag, where to hit it, divided into thirds, yada yada yada, training equipment, conditioning. He talks about burpees, road work, weekly run, interval runs, sprints, and so on, strength training. He recommends the typical strength training programs, you know, every other day, a different muscle group, and blah blah blah. And I tried reaching out to him to see if he'd be interested in learning about high intensity resistance training, which is what I do, but I didn't get a reply. Chapter 11, honestly, he talks not honestly, interestingly, he talks about mood, motivation, and focus. I'm like, hey, he might be cool, interested in hearing my stance on the importance of mental health in training then. He talks about mental fatigue and emotional fatigue, by which he means stress. Mental fatigue means boredom. Gives tips on beating depression, anxiety, and low mood, which you shouldn't give as universal tips. You should say what's worked for him, but whatever. Goes into sparring. He says sparring's not fighting, but it is necessary, obviously, to be successful as a fighter, of course. Sparring fundamentals. Focus on upper chest and neck again. Have an active jab. Be able to defend the jab. And then have an active defense as opposed to the passive one, which is the shelling up and all of that stuff. Gives examples of different sparring levels where he goes up to, let's see, 10 different levels of sparring. Jab sparring, throw only a jab. Jab versus straight punches. One boxer jabs, the other throws 1-2 or 1-2-1 combos. Jab versus everything. 4, light work, which is a power dialed down. You land a punch, throw the overhand, throw that over and over till they figure out a response. 5, full power jab, light on the wrist. 6, role playing, done at work level. One fighter mimics style of a fighter type that the partner is expected to fight and has trouble, or has trouble with. Scenario sparring, one boxer starts in the corner and must fight their way out. Free sparring, competition pace, and then quote-unquote gym fight. So I've Jason and his YouTube channel Precision Striking, they've been in go-to for me for a while now. I went to when I was looking for ideas on shadow boxing, so that I wasn't, because I was getting bored with it, I looked up ideas for shadow boxing, and I got a 12-round killer shadow boxing workout from his channel, and I've just been hooked on that ever since. So this is definitely worth getting, and if you'd like to, there's a link in the description box. It's an affiliate link, so I'll get a commission, but that comes to me at no extra cost to you. And there you go. Jason knows his stuff, and I can't recommend it enough. So I hope you get it and find something useful out of it. Get something useful out of it like I did, and always do, out of his content. So thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button, and the bell icon. I'll see you in the next video.